This is Sharon Lewis, and you're listening to Open Pike Night's Prime Direction. Yeah, it's like a documentary about directing. A documentary.
Is this thing on? Hello.
Welcome to Open Pike Night, the Strange New Worlds podcast where your calls are the prime directive. I'm Cameron Harrison, who's getting a solo credit for hosting tonight because, well, I'd like to tell you where John and Jesse are, but that information has been deemed classified. Tonight, on what we're calling Prime Direction, we'll be chatting with the director behind Season 3, Episode 7, What is Starfleet? The woman who knows to keep a camera rolling no matter what. In fact, she's probably recording this right now. Sharon Lewis.
Hey, Cameron.
Hello, and thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me. I'm super excited. I'm a big fan of this podcast.
Are you?
Yes, I have to tell you, when I got the job at Strange New Worlds, I did all this research, and then I found your podcast, started listening to it, sent it to a bunch of the actors. Because the one that really hit me was when you guys were trying to guess what was going to be on from the trailer on Season 3. So I sent it to Minor. I sent it to Celia. And Minor and I had a good laugh about it because you guys were like, is it Thanksgiving? We see a turkey. What's happening? It was fantastic. Also, I couldn't believe how much you guys got right.
Yeah, we were about 50-50, I think, on our accuracy.
Yeah, it was pretty. And also Alan, the writer of What is Starfleet, the episode that I directed and you guys talked to him. I also sent it to him, too. I was like, these guys are on it.
Aw, that's so sweet. Thank you.
Yeah, it's true.
I don't know. It's still hard to get used to. Like, the people who make the show we're covering are also listening to our show. It's a real salat who ate its own tail. I keep making this joke. I don't know if I'm getting that phrase quite right yet.
Which was also an excellent episode.
So good.
Oh,
Absolutely.
my gosh. Oh, my gosh.
You guys are on fire this season.
Yeah. Yeah. I've loved every season, though.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've been trying to determine what's different about Season 3 because, I mean, every season has felt confident. Every season has taken big swings. Yeah, the writers have had some interesting insight, but yeah.
I think Season 2 primed us for Season 3. You know, like the musical, that was a big swing. And it was a big swing that hit. So then I think, Season 3, when they were, hey, how do you feel about doing, documentary style? Episode, I was like, that's my jam. That's where I come from. That's my background. But I don't know if that could have happened without our Season 2 swing.
Yeah, I think the Lower Decks crossover also showed like what they could do with tone and how far they could go. But you led right into my first question, Sharon, which is, they are very precise with picking their directors on Strange New Worlds. So, as you said, you do have some documentary background. What is it you feel that led them to tapping you for this episode?
Well, I know you've heard Chris Fisher is the most amazing person in the entire world, and you have to get him on the show.
We have been trying. Yes, he's a busy man in high demand.
He is busy. He's the producing director, and I had my interview with him, and I've heard Jordan talk about it too. Like, it's like having a conversation. It doesn't even feel like an interview. You just sort of go back and forth. So as we were talking, and he was explaining to me their vision for the episode, it wasn't just the documentary style, but that they actually really wanted to question this idea of colonialism and imperialism. And I've done a lot of work around those issues, both in fiction and entertainment and in writing. So it just kind of flowed. And then I sort of think the cherry on the top was when I said, I come from unscripted. And he's like, I know. And so obviously he had already done his homework.
He was also a fan of you.
Yes, it was really, it was synchronicity, I think, just in what he was talking about and what they wanted to do with the episode and what my interests are. And also, I mean, Celia as Uhura. I was like I couldn't stop gushing in our conversation about what Star Trek meant to me as a kid growing up, because my parents would watch it. And, Uhura was the first Black woman I ever saw. That wasn't a maid. That wasn't a housekeeper, or like she was gorgeous and smart and, first interracial kiss
That's right.
ever on TV. So the idea that my storyline would center around her was, I don't know, that's like a dream.
I mean, I'm getting chills just hearing you talk about it. I have to imagine. And Celia is just, we just talked to her in Star Trek Las Vegas, and it is always remarkable to talk to her and be like, you're a really good actor because you are not her. It's fascinating to watch like that juxtaposition between them.
Oh, interesting. What did you see differently?
Well, Celia is so full of big energy and confidence and so sure of herself in every, just very comfortable in her skin, right? And this Uhura is still kind of, she's grown through the seasons, but she's still finding her way, and she's still
True.
a little more timid than this
True.
real Celia.
True. Yeah. Yeah, because she hasn't got there yet. She's not a grown woman yet.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. It's
only 3 years on a starship.
Yeah. Sure.
Well, you walked right into the next question too, which is I was going to ask, what is your relationship with Star Trek? Like it sounds like you answered it a lot, but coming into this, had you watched All of Strange New Worlds before it, or?
So no, I hadn't watched All of Strange New Worlds, but my partner is a hardcore Trekkie. So I've been with him hearing all along how I am not. You know what I mean? Like, you don't know enough. You don't. So I know what's going on. So anyways, we sat down and we watched All of Strange New Worlds together.
Mm-hmm.
And I was in right from the very beginning. I think because it harkens back to the original series, I have a nostalgia for it. I have a tie into it. Whereas he's like a Trekkie for all the, Picard and Discovery and all of that. Strange New Worlds holds a special place for me. Like, I understand the characters and I understand that world. And this particular series feels personal to me.
Mm-hmm. Well, one thing we heard from Alan was that you had written your own interview questions for the actors as part of your process in directing this, which, it sounds like you must have been pretty familiar with the characters based on some of the questions. Can you kind of talk about that element?
Yeah. Well, usually, as a director, when you prep for a series, you watch everything prior to it, or, all the episodes prior, and then, you think about how you're going to shoot it. But with this one, it wasn't just about watching previous episodes. It was really digging deep into canon about how Starfleet was formed, what it meant, all of the, going beyond the sort of what you see in the TV episode, what it meant for each character, their relationship to Starfleet, so that then I could craft those questions and really sort of dig in personally on each character. And I'm sure Alan said this, but there were so many great questions that didn't get into the episode.
We were all over there, fingers crossed that this will appear on the DVD, an unedited reel of them.
Yeah, because I'm sure he talked about it, but there was gold, just gold. There's gold on the screen too.
Yeah, some of them made it into the final.
Absolutely. But it was so fascinating to get to ask Spock questions about Spock,
mm-hmm.
And
have him answer as Spock.
Yes, and to have him answer as Spock. It was, asking everybody, but Spock never gets asked personal questions.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was interesting to have Ethan as Spock answer those questions. And also as the director of the episode, but also kind of playing the director of the documentary.
Right. Well, okay, I want to jump into that. But Alan did mention a moment with Babs and Mbenga asking him a question. Do you know? I'd like to hear the story from your point of view.
Well, yeah, that was deep. That was incredibly deep because I asked him about his relationship with his daughter.
Mm-hmm.
I asked him, Mbenga.
Right.
But they didn't know, right? Like, they didn't know what questions were coming. So even for the actors, it was unsettling because, usually you come on set, here's your script, here's what we're going to do. We block it. I didn't let them do redos.
Mm-hmm.
So, we set up the interview with Mbenga. The cameras are there. I'm acting like the documentarian asking those questions, and they didn't know what was coming. Is this the question, I think, when I asked him about...
It sounds like. It
No,
sounds
you
like.
tell me.
Well, just that, yeah, you asked him a question and he responded with something along the lines of like, where did you get these questions? And like you yourself felt nervous in that moment.
Totally. He got mad.
Yeah.
Yeah, he got mad. Like you could tell that Bab/Mbenga was kind of like, wait a minute, like we're not going here. I was asking him questions about redacting material
Hmm.
and what actually happened with the Klingons and what was his role. And, or I would just ask questions like, what does killing feel like? And, yeah, not happy.
Right.
Not happy. Although I asked that question, and Anson, who plays Pike, that answer ended up in the episode.
Oh, okay. That was an unscripted one.
Yeah, yeah. I would say 60 to 70% of the questions were unscripted.
Oh, wow.
So that their reactions were truly authentic.
Hmm.
Like that whole story that Anson talks about as Pike about losing his oh God, what is it? His the calf that he loses.
Oh, the horse. Yeah.
Yeah, the horse that he loses. That was all spontaneous.
Oh, wow.
That was not scripted. Like Anson just spoke about that. I know.
And Mbenga's Babs's I do not recall. I do not recall.
Unscripted.
That felt raw in a way that, yeah, when I heard that, I
Yeah.
was like, that moment. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, great job on that, because I really do feel a lot of that anchors the episode
Yeah.
in a way it doesn't need, but in a way that really adds a level to it. So you were talking about how you are both the director of this episode and playing the director, playing in a way Beto. I know you've done some acting. Did you use those skills to kind of really step into
Totally.
him?
Totally.
Yeah. Can you talk about how this was different from a regular directing job in that way?
Oh my gosh. It was. And Alan, like, thank goodness Alan was open to not only was he open, he was like, this is great. Like he was so encouraging for me to use that process that I have as a documentarian where, you keep the camera running, you ask questions that people don't expect. But also that I would ask them like how Minor Beto would ask them.
Mm.
Yes, so being an actor helped because I could just kind of ask questions that kind of were digging at things as opposed to a journalist who would ask them in a particular way. Beto was this young documentarian who's already got a bias in his head about Starfleet and about the Enterprise. So he would ask those questions in that way. So I could. And sometimes Minor was behind me.
Okay.
Yeah. Sometimes I would feed him the question and he would ask the question.
Yeah, I bet there's a lot of mutual mentorship there in a way.
Yeah, it was fun. I have to ask you, Cameron,
Oh,
what did you think about the documentary style? Did it throw you off? Did it feel like a Star Trek episode? Like, what did you think?
yeah. What I loved about the episode is it is a classic Star Trek story. It's they encounter an alien, they discover there's more than what they think. They wrestle with a moral decision, but it's all told from like just a slightly different perspective, which is what makes it, to quote Spock, fascinating. Yeah, I mean, I loved it. I thought it was a great way to kind of get into the inner monologues a bit of these characters. I love how you brought in footage from season 1 and kind of like, in a way, in this, the shortest episode of the season, kind of telling a story that stretched beyond just this episode or even this season.
Right.
I thought you used the format really well that way.
Did the genre throw you off though as a documentary, or did it feel sort of like a hybrid documentary episode?
No, it felt like a documentary. Again, another thing I love about this episode, and I was kind of, to turn the question back on you, is this is more than just an episode of Star Trek, right? This exists in the world of Star Trek. Every musical cue, every cut, every shot is now, it exists in that universe. It's not just like the, audience eye or anything. Did that add kind of a sense of weight or responsibility?
I love that question. is exactly it.
Yeah.
Like in that process, yeah, with the DPE and Anderson, a lot of our research was, okay, how do we keep this? Because it's still pre-original series.
Mm-hmm.
So we can't go crazy in terms of like how you would shoot this. But it is a futuristic documentary.
Mm-hmm.
So also how do we make sure that style of that documentary feels futuristic, but also could exist on the Enterprise?
Mm-hmm.
So what Ian was telling me the other day, the DP and I was talking to him, he's like, all those close-up shots that we use, those monitor shots. So the belief that there is surveillance cameras all over the Enterprise, and that when you do those really, really tight close-ups, there's a camera inside the monitors, which is
Mm-hmm.
why you're seeing Celia so close with all the lights underneath, or any of the characters. That's now a language that they're using going forward.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I was noticing, like, it feels like you might have been establishing some canon about how, like, the view screens and cameras and everything works, which had to have been kind of exciting.
It was exciting and also a big responsibility, because you're also thinking, okay, so now if there are surveillance cameras on the Enterprise all the time, then that means people can see things all the time. So then in order to kind of wrestle with that question as to why then wouldn't we know things about Mbenga? Why wouldn't we know things that, that not everyone's watching all that surveillance material
Right.
all the time. And there's no reason to be watching that surveillance. And also that it gets redacted.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So we had to kind of establish that there's a process of redacting classified material
Mm-hmm.
in a consistent way, as to explain why in previous episodes you wouldn't know, certain people wouldn't know certain things.
Right. And we won't talk about why on TNG they just don't know what people are doing on the ship ever.
Yeah, I know.
That's their own problem. But yeah, to answer your question, again, I guess, like, I didn't bump on the format at all. I felt like it added that extra layer, like, oh, I get to feel like a citizen of the Federation watching this documentary. It kind of adds a thrill and excitement to it. Like, I could become an actor and put myself into the world in a way.
That's fantastic, because that's what we wanted, was that, yeah, that you felt like you had insight into the world that you might not have had before.
Yeah.
Yeah. Particularly with the interviews. I think the surveillance has been used in previous episodes, and sparingly, but also that sort of God's view, even if it's not surveillance, we're kind of used to that language.
Mm-hmm.
But the sit down interviews, we've never had.
Never had.
Yeah.
And we've seen those in so many ways, from like, serious political documentaries to The Office. We've seen these interviews done so many different ways. And it was really fascinating to see our characters in that light. Did
you feel like you learned anything new about the characters?
Oh, I was not prepared to answer questions.
I
Sharon.
know, Cameron. I'm the worst. I was a journalist, and I am the worst. I will always ask those questions.
I feel like I'm Mbenga now. Like, where did you get these questions? Did I learn anything new about them? I mean, I feel like Erica, for sure, we've gotten some backstory on that we have not gotten before, and we've all been clamoring for more Tegas on this podcast. So it was great to get more from her.
She's phenomenal, huh?
So phenomenal.
Like, she's like, yeah, man, she's next level.
And I feel like we've just scratched the surface. I was saying, like, she's mostly the quippy character through season 1 and 2. She has some fantastic moments in season 2, but like, when she was bleeding out in the first episode of the season, and she's like saying, "Put me in the chair," I can, like, there was some acting chops there we had not seen yet, and I was like, "Yes, she's got it."
Yes, I'm hoping in the DVD you'll get to see. There's a very emotional scene between her and Beto, where she talks about her mother and their mother dying and their relationship. And, obviously all of that stuff couldn't fit in, especially the shortest episode of the season. I think they wanted to keep it tight and focused, but you really see that love between her and her brother, and Melissa's acting chops.
Otherwise, I feel like we got a lot more about Uhura, like her continued kind of, again, she's still on this journey of becoming who she is and understanding if she belongs in Starfleet. We see her question her place too, until she comes around and realizing what Starfleet is at the end. Maybe to turn the question around on you, then we get both Mbenga and I feel like Una have reasons to be skeptical of Starfleet, right? They've had their complicated relationships with Starfleet. Why do they stick around? Why do they still love Starfleet? And that may be a question the series will continue to ask and answer, and it doesn't need to be answered in this episode. But I was kind of looking for, especially Mbenga, like, all right, you are also a weapon that doesn't want to be a weapon, much like this alien. Why do you still love this organization?
It's funny because I feel like Mbenga and answering those questions opens up that question even for himself.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So it feels a little bit like he's starting to question that, because he doesn't answer in a way that is like openly defending Starfleet. He sort of deflects.
Yeah.
He deflects. Whereas I would say with Una, she actually does defend Starfleet. So she feels less pulled than Mbenga does. Mbenga seems to me that he's also asking that question. What is my role? What am I, whereas Una was like, I listen to orders, I follow orders. Starfleet is about that whole thing that she has in the end of the episode where you sort of see her fighting with Mbenga. I think it's community for her. Also because you remember I know you do remember, she didn't belong. She wasn't even supposed to be there in the beginning, right?
Well, she's still only there on a technicality.
True.
Really?
True.
I mean, Starfleet hasn't fixed itself in that way yet.
True. So in which case, Pike has allowed her to be there also because she's family.
Right.
I think sort of what Uhura says really does count for Una, which is that Starfleet is the people. The entry. It's, as cliched as that sounds, I really felt that at the end of the episode, that it is these people.
Yeah. I mean, for me, Star Trek's always been about the characters.
Yeah.
So that makes sense.
Yeah. About the characters, but I don't know. For me, during this process, it somehow really finally cemented that they're family. They're a complicated, not dysfunctional, but complicated family. I don't know. Yeah, at the end of this episode, I really felt that. Maybe because they're all sharing a meal and they were laughing. And although Beto was driving them crazy, they accepted him. Maybe that's part of it.
That's family. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate that insight. I feel like on the first watch, I wanted a little more closure from some of these characters, like Mbenga. But, having watched it a second time, having talked to Alan, and even just 20 minutes with you, I am seeing where, like, it doesn't have to be neat and tidy like that. Like, maybe this did open up more questions for him, and that's not resolved yet.
Yeah, that was my feeling in the way that he answered, both the actor and as Mbenga, that Mbenga might have complicated feelings about it. Yeah. Even Beto and Uhura don't necessarily end up together, right?
Right.
It doesn't there's that hint of romance and that sort of hint that something's going to happen, but I don't know that it will. Yeah. I don't get a sense that either way, it could go either way, but I agree with you. Nothing was sort of kind of like a documentary. There's no sort of right or wrong or wrapped up sort of.
Yeah, you could put your editorial kind of statement on it, but it doesn't change the reality of things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What it did do for me was, and my hope as a director was to make sure that we feel that hope that Strange New Worlds always gives us, that just sense of there's goodness in the world that Star Trek has always given us. That there's just there are good forces in the world.
It did feel like a response to this conversation that comes up a lot with Star Trek with what is Starfleet? I think a lot of people love Star Trek because it presents a utopian vision. And then a lot of people are like, well, that's not realistic and it needs to reflect today. And today is not a utopian vision. And so there has always been this struggle. And I have always sided with like, we need something to aim for. We need that light and hope. And I think this does a really good job of balancing both aspects and kind of responding to that discussion.
And I think to your point, it's different this episode in that you don't get everything wrapped up. I think part of for me, I don't even like musicals, but that musical episode was everything. Like it was funny and it was warm, but it was still a Star Trek episode. I think that episode gives you that feeling of hope. I think the documentary stirs up stuff like a documentary should, and still gives you hope, but you're like, I know, but is it okay what we're doing? Is it all right? That it's kind of sad that the Chikaru died. Like, it's not a musical.
It's definitely a different ending than that one.
Yeah.
This is the first episode I kind of just sat with and watched all the credits and kind of like thought about for that moment, like gave it those 3 minutes of silence at the end and just thought about, because that's where it leaves you. I mean, I was an emotional wreck for like the last 5 minutes of this episode. I remember the whole time kind of being like, okay, I'm tracking the plot. And then all of a sudden, just all the feels.
In a good way?
In a good way. Oh, yes. In a good way.
Great.
All the good feels. Yeah. Well, I mean, bittersweet in a lot of ways.
Yes.
But, those are good in their own way. You have to have those feelings.
Yeah. I'm going to stop talking about shots that didn't end up in the episode.
Oh, please. That's why we love these shows.
Oh, you do? Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Because, when Dr. Guyud is getting fixed up in the sick bay, and, the drone is flying all around. So, because the drone it can feel emotion.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's right. Yeah.
So it goes to wherever is most emotional. And so, or that was our, that was the convention that we set, the DP&I, from what was said previously in the other episode. And there was a moment that Mbenga looks up at the drone and he's got tears in his eye, like he's all emotional. And that really hit me. And it kind of speaks to what you're saying. I don't know if Mbenga's built for this. When Dr. Guyud dies, like I'm not sure he's built for this.
That's interesting. We've always said he is the most deep and layered character in the show. And
he's an enigma, isn't he? Like it's
a good word.
Yeah.
That's a good word.
Yeah. Whereas with Ortega, what you see is what you get.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Which is what kind of makes you feel safe around her, because she's going to tell you like it is. Or when in the episode, when she yells at Beto in Spanish.
Oh, yeah.
It's probably one of my favorite moments where, Melissa and I was like, how do you feel about speaking Spanish? This is your brother, and, when you're angry at your brother, I'm Jamaican, patois will come out, like your own language will come out. And I really love that moment, because she would not speak that to anybody else except him. Mm-hmm. And it just tells you something about Ortegas and her brother. And he's kind of like he's just a big bother.
Right.
Yeah,
I keep wanting to say things about the next episode, but I can't yet. But yes, we do learn more about them.
Yes.
I do want to dip a little bit into kind of the nuts and bolts of directing this episode. You talked a lot about like the flying drones and everything, which I assume are all VFX, or did you have actual drones there in place for them to react to?
Oh my gosh, Cameron.
Oh.
Our camera person, Andrew Stretch, which we call him Stretch. This was what was brilliant. The first day of shooting, we had, of course, the most complicated scenes to shoot. And we're trying to set the, how we're going to shoot this. What was so that was in the sick bay and in the science lab. And so as a camera person, you're trained to never miss a shot. So his camera work was beautiful. Do you know what I mean? Like he's following everybody. Somebody speaks, he steps back, he comes forward. Like it was absolutely stunning. And every single time I'd be cut. Let's go again. And the actors too, I was like, I need you to look into the camera. And they're so trained not to look into the camera.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I was going to ask about that.
Yeah. So we shot that scene over and over and over again, partly because that was our practice of getting into the documentary feel, where I was like, I need you to miss it and then come back like a drone would, or I need you to go down a little too far and then come back up, or press in just a little uncomfortably close. Mm-hmm. And he did. Obviously he killed it. So that is all Stretch. All that drone stuff that you see is our camera person, Andrew Stretch, who just worked so hard at it. And then in between takes, I'd be like, look at the camera, yelling out, look at the camera. Because they're so trained to ignore it.
Right.
right?
Yeah.
It was such a great process. And I know everybody has said that on your podcast, but truly, that cast and crew is one of my favorite places to work in the world. Because, first of all, like, you get on set, and the first thing that I did when nobody was there is I went and sat in the captain's chair. Do you know what
100%.
I mean? Like, and I'm sitting in that captain. I'm getting chills just talking about it now. And you're like, I cannot believe this. Like, this is, it's not just TV history. It's lore. It's culture. It's, it's what I grew up with in terms of giving me hope. Like I said, seeing an interracial kiss, having Uhura as my sort of beacon of, especially as an actor, like, oh, I could do this. I could do, what she does. William Shatner is Canadian. I'm Canadian. And so, seeing William Shatner just do his thing and know that he comes from Stratford, Ontario and worked in theater here, like, just on so many levels. But anyway, so I'm sitting in that chair and pinching myself. Also, my son and my partner never come on any set. Well, I can tell you, they came on that set.
Couldn't keep them away.
They were like all over that set. Yeah. So the idea to get to direct an episode, and I got to direct an episode for season 4, which was a classic episode. So it was great to be able to do that. But having this process where we literally are creating canon, for example, I had an interview with each actor. Like, I asked them to come into my office before we shot because it was such a different process. And I wanted to know if there was anything personally that they wanted to explore in their character. And so Anson came in and we were talking about Pike. And I said, oh, and I chose music for each person. So, because I was like, this is going to be outside of the Starfleet music. Like, what would you listen to? What would Ortega's listen to? So when we filmed the Ortega scene, she was listening to AC/DC, Back in Black.
Okay.
You know what I mean? She's like retro. And then I asked Anson, I said, what do you think Pike? And he's like, oh, I think Pike plays the mandolin. So, because that's now canon, we have to make sure we get permission from everybody. Is that okay? Because now Pike plays the mandolin.
Right.
So the scene that you see with him playing the mandolin is Anson really playing the mandolin.
Okay.
So he knows how to play the mandolin. He and he rehearsed it and rehearsed it and rehearsed it and played it. And we were like, so that, imagine getting to create canon around these Star Trek characters. Like, that's phenomenal. So now Pike plays the mandolin. I
know Erica really wants Ortegas to play the banjo, so maybe in season 5 they can form up a little band.
And I don't think Melissa would mind me saying this, but in the episode, we talked about like what would be in Ortegas's room. Like, how can we make that really personal? And her partner had passed away. And there's an album cover, and that album cover is his album cover, and that's in the room. So there's so many personal touches that are in there that came from those actors sharing with me honestly about where they're at and what is their characters and what is their personal thing that they bring to their characters.
A lot of blending of fact and fiction with this episode.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, me too. There's little Easter eggs that I think, when you go back and watch the episode, you'll see as well.
So I do want to dive down just nerdy kind of filmmaking process thing. Again, you've got the drones and the shots. Did it limit you in being able to improvise shots on set because you knew you might have to add a visual effect of the drone there if you put a camera shot there, or were those pretty easy to accomplish?
No, that's a great question. And because you've interviewed so many people, you know how challenging it can be with the VFX, like how much VFX you can do. So every director, every writer is really aware of how much VFX we're writing. But with the drone, we had specific drone shots that we knew would be in there. So like knowing you would see the drone, for example, in the elevator when Beto and Ortegas go in the elevator. So yes, in the sense that we knew once we set up the convention of the drone, we'd be limited in how many VFX shots you could see the drone. So we made sure to design them in a way that you wouldn't necessarily have to see the drone.
Right. You were very sneaky about that. I noticed throughout. It's very, very clever.
About where you would see it and not see it.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. And then also in terms of coverage, like I was terrified. I was like, because you always do masters and close-ups. And, that's the language of Star Trek, a lot of close-ups, a lot of masters. And I thought the only time you can justify cutting to a master is if it's a surveillance shot.
Mm-hmm.
And so we never shot masters that weren't high up surveillance.
You just have like panic sweats every night when you went to bed. Like, we forgot the master.
Oh my God. Yeah. Or like people typing back going, what is she doing? Like, what is she like? This is insane. But the support for making it a documentary was there all the way along.
Mm-hmm. I mean, you have to commit if you're going to do it.
You have to. And that's the thing about Strange New Worlds. When they commit to a genre, they commit.
Mm-hmm.
Like whether it's horror or, Jordan just kills the Vulcan, like humor is just beyond. And Valerie's is, I guess that's more action-y, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, but action-y, but also feeling very TOS, and I don't know, just...
Yeah, that felt very classic.
Yes.
Yeah. But I would say that, they'll commit. They commit to a genre. But it also meant our editing process was different.
I was going to ask about that, yeah.
Yeah, because there's so much that's unscripted.
Mm-hmm.
And my poor continuity person, she was going nuts, because she's trying to like write down everything. And then, there's tons of just like some of those interviews went on for 2 hours, 2 to 3 hours, which you don't normally have 2 to 3 hours of unscripted content in a Star Trek series. So
you're talking to an interview podcast, so we're well familiar.
Yes, yeah. But the way that we're set up is not for that.
No.
Right? Like you have 4 days to edit and you're editing to the script, right?
And that's very different than documentary editing.
Yeah. So we actually, to their credit and huge abundance, I think we did 9, maybe 10 days of editing. Okay. And they flew me to LA.
Oh, wow.
So that I could actually work with the editor because as you know, you just sort of edit, over Zoom or whatever. But I actually had to sit with him because we had to go through all of this footage and sort of shape it because it wasn't scripted. That wasn't how, So Alan, Dana, Akiva, like Henry, they were all Fish, obviously, super supportive and going, oh, we're going to have to shift this a little bit. We're going to have to figure out a different way to edit this.
That's great. That's that commitment you were talking to.
Yes.
So like the decision to use shots from Children of the Comet, I think it was from season 1, was that in the script or did that come up in the editing?
That came up just prior to the editing because I had done sort of a shot list, actually even before shooting and saying, I think we're going to need this kind of stuff. Okay. So they started looking for all of that because I was like any documentary, we're going to have context outside of just this episode. Mm-hmm. We're going to need to, So they started working on that prior to shooting.
Yeah, that adds to the documentary feel too, because of course he would get, if there's security footage, then you have security footage of everything and he wouldn't limit it to his few months on board.
Exactly. Yeah.
So speaking of Beto, he inadvertently ends up becoming the subject of his own documentary, like many documentary filmmakers before him. Is there anything that felt like an unexpected piece of yourself came through in this episode for you as the director?
What a great question, Cameron.
I'm going to give that one to Jesse. That's Jesse's question.
Oh, Jesse, man. Great question. I think the idea of cultural heritage is really close to me, and that Uhura has this Kenyan background, and it was important for you to see that in her room. And so we shot a lot of beautiful B-roll of her room and of her Afrofuturistic stuff that was in her room. I'm a huge Afrofuturist. So I would say that Sharon probably injecting into Uhura an Afrofuturism aesthetic. but that kind of ties in with her background being from Kenya. And even the painting that she does was inspired by an Afrofuturistic Kenyan painting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Her being a painter, was that in the original script, or did that come from talking with Celia? There's another little canon moment.
Yeah. Yes. I feel like that came, I could be wrong, but I feel like that came from talking with Celia. That let's get you to do something visceral. Something really, that is telling of who you are. Yes, actually it did come from Celia. You know why? I remember us having this conversation about painting, and then she's like, what if I paint with my toes? And then we both started laughing. We were like, too far. I actually remember that now. We were getting all creative and like, visceral, painting with your hands, and what are my toes? And we're like, yeah, no.
Season 5.
Yeah, we're not ready yet.
Hera's got some painting baby
some
steps.
Growing to go. Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
Well, this documentary is about Starfleet, but Trek is always known for its allegorical stories as well. What, other than Starfleet, is this episode about, in your opinion?
For me, I can't say I'm a Trekkie because my husband won't allow me, but
we'll allow it.
Thank you. Thanks, Cameron. As somebody who loves the idea of hope and going out into new worlds, I personally have always tried to balance that with the idea of American imperialism, right? Like it's such a balance, and not that that's a metaphor because that's actually what the documentary is about. But, when that Jakaru flies into the sun, it's not a happy ending. It really says to me that although this brings hope, there's no easy answer. Like we don't have easy answers. And I guess that's what I appreciated about it. There's still hope, there's still love, there's still family, but there's no easy answers.
Mm-hmm.
And there's no easy answers for the Jakaru and for the mission, but there's no easy answers for the characters as well. And Benga doesn't sit in an easy place. Una, although she speaks about what, her love for the Enterprise and for Starfleet, she also has to go through her own issues, right? Mm-hmm. And then Pike too, like when Pike talks about his horse, that wasn't an easy thing to do. And as we know with his relationship and where his future is heading, that there's nothing easy about those decisions, which makes me feel that it's less American imperialism propaganda, which has been a criticism, because it really feels like it's complicated and deeper than that.
Like life.
Yeah.
Well, finally, Sharon, I would just like to ask, what is it like to kill someone? Oh, wait, no, I misread that. What is your favorite shot from this episode? That's the question.
Oh, Cameron, what is my favorite shot?
Whether it appeared in the final cut or not.
Yeah. Okay, this seems so simple and silly, but when we were interviewing Spock, and we have that beautiful close-up of him, and we ask him a question, and then he just does the eyebrow thing. I just love the Spock eyebrow. There's that, but I can't just end with that one if that's okay.
That's okay.
I also really love Badass Lon just shooting the shit. I just love those shots. She's so strong and tough and smart and sexy. And I just love all of those shots that we did with her just banging shit out, grabbing guns, just being a hard ass badass.
That's true. Yeah, we didn't even touch on that, but that sequence was great. No, we don't have much time, but the music in this, what was it like working with Nami? Can you give it like a 20-second answer?
Nami came to meet with me in LA.
Okay.
Which never gets to happen. So we actually got to talk about music. We got to talk about, the documentary style and how can we infuse them with their own sort of personal styles and music. She is a genius.
Man.
Is she not?
She is.
Yeah. She's a genius.
Because this had to not sound like Star Trek. It had to sound like music in Star Trek. And I mean,
she killed it.
We've got to get her on to talk about this whole season, but this episode for sure.
Has she been on before?
Yes. Yeah.
She has, right?
Only at the end of season 1. So we have some catching up to do with her.
Yeah. She's phenomenal.
Well, I'm going to throw you a little bit of a curveball because you did say you directed an episode in season 4, and people who've worked on the next season, we like to ask for a 1-word tease. Nothing spoilery, something that seems very innocuous until we watch the episode, then we'll go, that's what she was talking about.
Classic.
Classic's your word. I like it. Good.
Classic.
Oh, can go so many ways with that.
Yes. Yes. Classic.
Well, Sharon, this has been delightful. I feel like I understood what it was like to be the crew being questioned. And I feel like I've gotten to know the process as well. It's been a holistic experience.
That's awesome. I love your podcast. I know I said that before, but this is just the cherry on top in terms of like full circle, getting to direct it and then getting to come and chat with you guys. It's awesome.
That's amazing. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
And we feel privileged to be able to put your thoughts out there for everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.